Hi everyone, my name is Jenn and welcome to the Book Refuge and welcome to my November TBR. And my beautiful book cart that I have now, which I'm showing off in a couple of videos that you'll be seeing. I finally gave in and got one of these, and I'm really glad that I paid for the nicer one because I had a little cheap one that I bought, and I really underestimated how much I like the wheels on this thing and how easy it is to the books that I'm going to put in a video to pile them in here and bring it over instead of trying to stack books on my computer and, you know, down here, whatever. It's all right here and I love it so much. So we have a lot of books to share for November. There's a couple things going on. I have 8 buddy reads that I'm doing that are a part of 2-3 book clubs. One of which is new this month, which I'm very excited about, but I'm going to be changing up a few things on my channel anyway. If you're part of my Discord, which is always linked down below, you'll know that I'm going to be changing up the buddy reads after November. I'm going to just be doing one, and instead of it just being historical romance, I'm going to start opening it into other romance as well, because eventually, if things all go well in 2021, something new that will be coming will be channel memberships, and I want to make the book that gets chosen as a buddy read not exclusive to the channel memberships. You'll always be able to buddy read with me, but the people who get to like nominate books for that will be a reward on that level, because currently like I'm the one choosing the books that get voted on, and so it was just based on what my library is, but I want to be able to open it up more. Anyway, more on that coming, but the point is this will be the last month where I have a fantasy or YA pick that is on the list, because number one, about half the time I don't end up even reading whatever the fantasy or YA pick is, and I feel like a bad creator to like have you guys vote on it and not pick it. But I'm just so rarely in the mood for fantasy and YA that I need it to be more spontaneous. There are always going to be some fantasy and YA that I want to read, but the mood for that just comes on so much more rarely. So anyway, we're going to dive in and I'll explain what each book, where it falls into as we go. But I'm very excited about changing that up. I like the idea of relying more on romance for this channel anyway, because the buddy reads you guys are the most excited for are the romance ones, because that's why you're here. So let's go ahead and we will start with the channel buddy reads, which is going to be Legendborn by Tracy Deon. This is the fantasy YA pick. Super beautiful. If you want to be a part of this buddy read, you can follow the link to my Discord. Yeah, it's really pretty. I do want to try to read this one. I'll probably get it on Audible, and that'll help me to read it. But this one is actually set in modern day, and then this girl's, I think it's her mom who disappears. Or no, she doesn't even know who her parents are. So she goes to a school for bright kids, and she meets someone who's called a Merlin. And so, anyway, super cool. I'm going to try to make myself read this one, but for sure, if you want to buddy read it with people, you can join my Discord, and there will be people who actually do buddy read it. But this will be the last pick for that for who knows until when. Maybe we'll change it up again someday. Then the other buddy read that was voted on by you guys was 4 Nights with the Duke. This is a book by Eloisa James. This is one of her, I think they're called like I don't think it's Love by Number, but it's a standalone. But she has this group of like 4 or 5 that they're standalones, but about the same characters, but they don't have a series name. And that's 4 Nights with the Duke, 3 Weeks with Lady X, and then there's another one, 7 Minutes in Heaven. And they all had like the same people in them, but I haven't read 4 Nights with the Duke or 3 Weeks with Lady X. But this one is Lady Emily of Gwendolyn Carrington wants to annoy this certain duke, and she said that she'll never marry him, and now she like needs to, but he ends up making a deal with her that they'll have 4 nights together, and that's like all that they're going to have. But he can like spread them out whenever he wants, I think is something that it has to do. But I don't know, it's beautiful, and I love how she looks here, and then we got a step back in here. It's really beautiful. But anyway, this is going to be our historical romance buddy read that will be hosted in my Discord, and then we will have a live show for this one. And this will be the third week of November, I believe so. That date can shift a little bit, but I think that I picked it to be November 15th at 5 p.m. Central Daylight Time. So I'm very excited to read this. As I said in the poll video, I like to space out my Eloisa James because I only have a few left of hers that I haven't read. Although at this point, it's been so long since I've read all of hers that I'm thinking of rereading some of them. So that will be fun. Then we'll just go through the other historical buddy reads that I'm doing. And the first one I want to talk about is part of the new book club that I'm starting. If you follow me on Instagram or Twitter, you probably heard about this, but me and my friend Crystal over at Crystal's Bookish Life, who is just my reading soulmate in so many ways. Like, there is so many books that we share alike. And she really wanted us to do a historical romance book club. So we are, and we're naming it the Rake Appreciation Society. If you are new to historical romance, you know, one of the terms that some people laugh at a little bit is the rake, which is another way of saying a playboy or a very knowledgeable gentleman in the ways of the bedroom. And it's a trope or archetype that I'm a big fan of because I love watching a rake reform himself and, you know, kind of realize that he's not satisfied with the way he's living his life and to find his woman, and I love that. And so when we were coming up with a name, I was like, can we please call it the Rake Appreciation Society? Because it doesn't mean we're only going to read books with rakes in them, but, you know, it was kind of fun. So we won't have like a Discord or a specific chat place for this one, but we are going to be having a live show every month for the book club. We may eventually let people like vote on what we pick, but for now it'll just be me and Crystal deciding on the book. And so the live show for that is going to be November 12th. So it'll be a Thursday night at either 6 or 7 p.m. Central Daylight Time, I'm not sure. And as you can see from that picture I put up and from this, we're going to read All Scot and Bothered by Kerrigan Byrne. This is the next book in the, I can't remember what this series is going to be called, but it's book 2 in a series. The Devil You Know, right? So the first one in that was How to Love a Duke in 10 Days. And then there's this one, and then the last one's going to be called The Devil in Her Bed. You'd be able to read these ones on your own, but if not, you definitely have time to read both of these. They go by super quickly. I really love the narrator for Kerrigan's books. It's actually a man who does her Victorian Rebels and who did the first one of this one. And I really love how he narrates it. So I'm very excited to read this one. It's so beautiful, by the way. And yeah, I'm super excited. So go ahead and get yourself a copy of this one and read that. And you can join us for the live show for that one. We're very excited to have a book club that is solely dedicated to historical romance. And who knows where that's going to go. I don't imagine that we'll only do new releases or anything like that. But we just thought this would be a fun place to start because we both love Kerrigan Byrne. And like, this is the newest one that I haven't read yet. I also just I'm excited. So that one. Then I have 2 other books that I'm reading with Crystal because we already decided to do some more buddy reads together because we buddy read a book together in October and it was so much fun. And so then we were going to buddy read together again, and then she asked me to do that, and I was like, well, do you want to do 3 buddy reads together, or do you just want to do the book club? And she's like, no, I want to read those ones too. So I was like, okay, I guess half of my month is dictated by Crystal, which I am more than happy to happen. So we are reading another historical together, so I'll just show that one first. We're going to read Her Night with the Duke by Quincy. I've been hearing some really great things about this book, and I just really wanted to give it a go. This one is about a woman who, she is widowed, but she's like the same age as her stepchildren, and so she's kind of best friends with her stepdaughter, and she meets this man at an inn. I think they're at an inn, and they end up kind of having a crazy night together. And then she finds out that he's the man who's betrothed to her stepdaughter, and she doesn't want to hurt her stepdaughter's feelings, but her stepdaughter isn't like in love with this guy at all. It's kind of an arranged marriage, so she has to decide whether to, you know, if she's going to step in the middle of this would-be relationship or not. So I'm going to read this one with Crystal. And then we are also going to continue the Hush Note series. So we read Lies and Lullabies first, and now we're going to read Riffs and Refrain. And this one's by Devney Perry. So this trilogy is put out by 3 authors. And it's all about these characters in this band together. So yeah, this one is about Devney. This one is by Devney Perry, and this one is about the drummer, Quinn, who's a girl. If you read Lies and Lullabies, you hate her a little bit because she almost messed up something pretty big for the couple, but I like a good turnaround. And so I like that they showed Quinn as kind of being a bad girl, and I would love to see how she's changed by love, and I'm excited. So I'm also going to read this one with Crystal. The covers for this series are some of the best self-published covers I've ever seen. They're beautiful. So definitely. All right, now let us talk about the Taboo Book Club. So I believe that this video should be going up after Taboo Book Club did, so you should know that we announced that we're doing dubious consent and consensual non-consent. I'm really excited to be doing this. I've had a few people ask me about the difference between the different kinds of consent and wanting there to be a discussion about it, and I kind of purposely was not talking about it. I've kind of ignored a couple people, so I'm sorry if that was you, but the reason I was putting off talking about it is because I knew that this was going to be our taboo topic, and I really wanted to save all that discussion for our Discord and for talking about these books. So we picked 2 books, and I'm really excited too because I have read both of these. So if I have time to do a reread, I will. Otherwise, I remember enough about them to not do that. And me and Tamika, we both just kind of needed a little bit of a lighter month with that, just with some personal things that have been happening in both our lives. And then as well as you can see, I've committed myself to a lot of buddy reads to happen in November. And we do have a holiday in that month too. So all of that stuff's going to have to kind of happen, you know, before the holidays. So anyway, Tamika picked Desperate Measures by Katee Robert, and I am so happy about that. So happy about it. So this one is definitely going to cover consensual non-consent. The one that I picked will cover kind of dubious consent and non-consent both. This book is basically novella length. A lot of people will say that it is, but it is over 200 pages. This is the first book in the Wicked Villain series. This is the Jafar and Jasmine. It's got some daddy kink going in it too. But it is shocking right at the beginning because it's a very subtle, and so I don't want to spoil it or whatever, but in the first chapter of this book, we have our first consensual non-consent scene. And I know the first time I read it as this was a rape scene happening. I'd only read a couple other of Katee's books before, and so I didn't know what I was getting into or what was happening, and that's what it felt like. And that's not the case. This is the case of a consensual non-consent relationship, as well as some BDSM, as well as some daddy kink, as well as you're getting introduced to the wicked villains, and it's awesome. So I'm very excited that this is getting brought into our Taboo Book Club. I was waiting for a good time for Katee Robert, and this is it. This is it. So definitely pick this up. I have the physical copy of this because I have all of them by her. This one I have all of my Wicked Villains are signed by Katee too. This one says Villains Do It Better because I'm a member of her Patreon, and I love it. So this book will maybe be a reread. Otherwise, for sure, we're talking about it in the Taboo Book Club, which you can also find in my Discord. There is a special section of my Discord that's for Taboo Book Club. Then the book that I chose was Sordid by Nikki Sloane. So this book has a lot happening, okay? And I have, again, this is another author that I was waiting for the right category and the right book to bring them into Taboo Book Club because I love Nikki Sloane so much. I love her so much. So this is also a signed copy, which I got off of Better World Books, so that was awesome. But this one is about, I think it's Luca. Yeah, it's Luca, and I can't remember the girl's name right now. Boop, boop, boop. I can't remember her name right now. But this one starts with a girl is at a Halloween party, and Luca is the son of the mob, and him and her end up playing like poker together, and then she's a little drunk, and there's dubious consent bordering on non-consent for their first encounter. She's a virgin. He very much like shuts down her complaints or her stops in the beginning, and then when it's over the next day, he questions her about what happened between them, and when she says that it was non-consensual, Luca kidnaps her. So there we go. This also fits captor captive. It's hard to decide what to do for this one, but yeah, so there you go. So welcome to the Taboo Book Club. If you're new here, we go there with things, but there is a lot of books I love that fit into consensual non-consent and dubious consent. Most of them usually fit into BDSM somehow, but there's also the captor captive side, which we did captor captive in October. Looked at a very dark captor captive, and this one, Nikki Sloane, though, she gets you to ride the line in a lot of ways. Like, so many of her books make me uncomfortable and excited at the same time, and it's strange, but find yourself a copy of Sordid for the Taboo Book Club. Then I have one last buddy read that I'm doing, and this one I blame on myself because I reached out to Bree before so many people started saying yes to me because I hadn't done a buddy read with Bree in a little bit, and I had a really fun time rereading Dark Notes with her. She hadn't read it. I was rereading it. And I asked her if in November she would read Spoiler Alert with Me by Olivia Dade. So as you will have seen, I recently just put out a rec video for curvy, BBW, fat girls, all that good stuff. And I knew that I wanted to read this book, but I wanted to read it with a friend, and so I was kind of getting myself in the headspace of curvy girls and reading some different things, and I'm really excited to read this one. So I think I'll probably get this one on audio as well, but I'm going to be reading this with Bree from In Love and Words. She's a dear, dear friend here on Booktube, one of my favorite people to chat with, and I hope you check her out if you haven't before. I'll have all these people I've mentioned linked down below because they're amazing and you should go support them as well. But yeah, I am super excited to read this. I know this one is about Marcus, who he's on a show that's kind of like Game of Thrones. It's based on a book series. It's going to be coming to an end, and a lot of fans of the books like aren't happy about how the books are ending. And so as someone who's on the show, he also writes fan fiction. And there's this girl named April who she also writes fan fiction, and they have like met each other online, and they know of each other through their like fan fiction cells. And so something comes about where they're going to meet each other in real life, and one of them knows who the other is and the other one doesn't, which I'm not a huge fan of that trope, but I've heard that for what's happening in this book that it will work. So we'll see if they're telling me the truth or not, but very excited to read that. Okay, so now I have 5 books that are just, I want to get to them. If I don't get to these ones, it's not as big of a deal to me, right? So that would be, first I'll talk about the new release. There's a new release coming out that should be out in October that's called How the Multiverse Strikes Back. So this is a sequel to How Rory Thorne Destroyed the Multiverse, and then the sequel is called And How the Multiverse Struck Back, or something like that. This is a sci-fi romance fairy tale retelling. It's amazing. Rory Thorne, the first one, is on my favorites list. Like, I love that book so much. I didn't hear enough people talk about it. I had a review for it, and the people that I've gotten to read it have loved it. It's told in such a fun way, and I have a love of sci-fi. I like an adventure in the sky once in a while, and this one was fun. It was feminist in a fun way, in the way that fairy tales can be, where they still have that romance and that excitement, but Rory is smart and very powerful and awesome. And the first book ends in a way that it doesn't need a sequel, but then when I had finished it, I had seen that like there would be a sequel, and so I'm interested to see where it goes. Like, I was very satisfied with the first book as like a fairy tale encapsulated like beginning, middle, end of it. But there are some threads that are really left open where I could see that they could go with it. And so I'm interested to see. And I want to pick that up as soon as I can and get myself to read it, because I really, really loved the first one. And I feel like I could be in the mood for this one pretty easily. Like, I don't think it'll take too much to make myself want to read it. So then I have 2 more historical romances that I want to get to. The first one is I want to catch up with the Victorian Rebel series. I think this is the last one, but some people tell me there could be another one still too. This is A Dark and Stormy Night by Kerrigan Byrne. This is her one that is like self-published, I believe. Or else it's like through a different thing, because I don't know, it looks like it's regular published, but then like it's not, because you have to like buy it through a different way. So I don't know. And apparently it's like sold out on Amazon, which I was able to get my copy on Amazon, but Crystal was asking me where to find it, and we had to go through Abe Books to find it. And it was a little more expensive than, because this was only $9.99. But anyway, this is about Carlton Morley, who he's a character we meet throughout the Victorian Rebel series. And also, the reason I'm excited for it is the audio finally went up. So the audio wasn't available for this one previously, and I listened to this entire series on audio, so I was kind of waiting to read it until that came out, and now it's available, so I'm going to be listening to this one. Then I'm a bit nervous, but this past weekend was my niece's birthday, and one of my sister's friends, so like my sister's like 5 years older than me, and this friend is a couple years older than her, so like we weren't friends when I was young because she's like 7 years older than me, but she's a friend who we read a lot of the same kind of historical books. Like, she loves Outlander and she loves Julia Quinn. And so when I was home for that birthday party, we were talking about Bridgertons and we were talking about our favorite historicals. And she told me that one of her all-time favorites was Shanna by Catherine Woodwiss, whatever. So I have quite a few copies of this book, actually. I have 3. And the thing is I was really nervous to read it. I've mostly been collecting Catherine Woodwiss for the covers and for the history, but she told me, she's like, I've read her a lot of her books, and she's aware of the problematic aspects. There are books that she doesn't like as much either, but she told me that Shanna was amazing and that it was really epic and that she loved it. And I'm willing to give another try, because the only Woodwiss that I tried to read was The Flame and the Flower, which everyone knows does not hold up and doesn't work. But she was like, she did reread this one not that long ago, and it did work for her. And I don't mind the darker or more messed up historicals. That's why Flame and the Flower was just too much for me, because I couldn't handle what they were laying down. I just couldn't do it. But I want to try Shanna because I've heard great things. And I really love the tagline. The tagline is "The Blazing Novel of Eternal Love." And I just want to give it a go. So I'm going to try reading Shanna and see how it goes. Then I have 2 more that I want to mention. So the first one is just because I have read a lot of Helena Hunting's books, and this one is the first in A Favor for a Favor, and I believe this is like a spin-off from the Puck series. Maybe I'm wrong, but I found this one on Better World Books for just a couple bucks because it was an old library copy. I was actually able to get all the stickers off, which was awesome. So I'm going to try reading this. This is about the NHL expansion team, and then it's about someone who needs to rehab this guy's injury. So I'm going to give it a go because I loved her sports romance, the Puck series, and I want to try that one. And then I need to read Managed by Kristen Callahan. So this book, as you can see, has a bunch of tabs in it. Izzy from Happy for Now, she actually has annotated this. This is part of our like traveling book there's a few traveling books that a couple of us in romance were doing. It's kind of got stalled out for people. I understand how that happens, but this one's been passed on to me, so I'm going to try to do it and get it passed on to the next person. I'm really excited to read this. I've heard a lot of good things about Managed. Yeah, so this is the month that I'm planning to do this one. So there we go. That is, as always, my very ambitious TBR that I'm super excited about. Since I've made my TBRs mostly romance, it's been like the best experiences for me, and I've been doing pretty good about getting them all done. So I feel pretty confident, especially out of this stack. Like 2 of them I've already read before, and like 5 of them are historical romance, which is usually pretty easy for me to get through. And 1 of them is a new release that I'm really excited for. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. So there we go. Any of the people or the book clubs that I talked about, the info for them will be down below, so make sure you check that out. I put up new videos pretty much every other day, 4 to 5 days a week, just depends. So make sure you subscribe for more content. And yeah, check me out on socials if you want to chat. Have a great day, everybody.